Well, hi guys, myself and Abby have had the pleasure to be invited down to fish with John and Mark, and so far we've had an absolutely fantastic day. Abby is absolutely loving it, and that's all what it's about, is putting smiles on kids' faces. What I thought we'd do is, while we have this opportunity, is ask John, who is the founder of the Canal Zander page and does some guiding, and Mark, who's a Zander fanatic, some questions about Zander, and do a little interview. So to start with, I just want to thank my dad, Brian Rampton, Dave Cox and John Merritt for the following questions. So the first question is, John, we'll go with you first. Where and when did your passion for angling start, and who introduced you to the sport?
I introduced myself to the sport, and it started when I was about 11, 12 years old, and I've grown up pretty much trying to catch everything in front of me, whether it ran, walked, crawled, swam or flew. And so obviously it was just a natural progression to go over to fishing as well. So yeah, the first fish I ever caught was a bream out the Coventry Canal, and I can still see the porcupine float sliding away and the flash and that little skimmer bream. So that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
Bill, and you, Mark?
Yeah, I had a couple of uncles that did a bit of fly fishing, but I wasn't aware of that at the time. But about the age about 5, sweat brain saying, I want to go fishing. Anyway, managed via another family member, Graham, and his dad Eric. They took me to the canal at Yelvertoft, and I caught a gudgeon. Absolutely loved it. And then I started fishing regularly at Hillmorton Locks from about 1975 onwards, which then was when I'd heard these stories about this alien species called a Zander had been illegally stocked in 1974, previous year. I really wanted to know more about them. I got to know more and more, as much as I could really try to learn about them. And then from 1977 onwards, just pursued Zander. And I think a lot of that was because everybody else seemed to hate them. But I wanted to know why people.
You want them, don't you?
Why do people hate them?
Yeah, and then don't run with the pack. Never run with the pack.
I've loved them with a passion ever since.
How about you, John? Where did your passion for Zander come from?
Zander. Well, the first Zander I ever saw would have been about 1974, 75, just after the illegal stockings, and it was in Marston Jabbit at the old Sterling Metals pool. There was a couple of specimen groups operating in the West Midlands, and wherever they came from, we don't know, but I saw a scatter of fish, and I said to the guy at the time, pike, and he went, Zander, like that. And he said that there'd been some put in by somebody else, and they all got caught, and they all got their heads caved in, and that was basically it. But there was something mysterious about this predator, and then eventually I started to fish the fens a lot with a good friend of mine from Nuneaton called Mick Taft and my son Dale, and we fished the 16 foot, 20 foot, and the relief channel and the cut off channel, and also Cockbank at Burnt House Bridge, and there were always Zander popping in and out of there, roaming around. So 9 times out of 10 it was a pike that you caught, but very often it would be a Zander as well. So it was like they were always the bonus fish to catch, those and the big perch that came along, because anybody could go and catch pike. And so that was where it came from, and the fact that they get ostracised kind of draws me to them, and it still does draw me to them. I'm forever for the underdog, if you like.
So for a complete beginner, where would you start to target Zander? What kind of features would you look for? Are they the same as a pike?
Similar, because I've caught pike, perch and Zander out of the same swim, and also gudgeon as well, would you believe? The so-called Holy Grail. So they are similar, but also I'll catch a lot of Zander right underneath my feet, on canals especially, but also on lakes. You catch Zander right under your feet. I'll be looking for obvious features where just think prey fish. That's the thing. Think like a prey fish. Where would you be? And then obviously think predator, and where would I be in relation to them prey fish? So you know, you learn a lot by looking first light and seeing where fish are dimpling. And as long as you find the prey fish, you'll find the predators, and that's how it is.
Also, other obvious things like watching grebes, see where they're feeding.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
there's no the bit I try and get over to people. It's not what looks good to us humans above the water. It's what looks good or is good to the Xander or the predator under the water, because the human eye can't see the depressions.
That's what I'm saying. Is what
deep parts.
Think fish.
So there's a lot of I've done lots and lots of plumbing and depth finding and checking what the bottom's like with marker floats and leads and stuff like that over the years. Loads of it. Nowadays you've got devices like Deeper Pro and whatever that can do that in a fraction of the time. Although I've not got or used any of that equipment.
Takes a bit of the fun out of it though, don't it? You know what I mean? Takes a bit of the hunter out of it, you know what I mean?
The only time we've used them is on the boats on Britland water and stuff like that, where you're fishing a water the size of a town.
Hello.
Are you having fun?
Good fun?
Yeah.
Hey, excellent.
Come and sit down here then. We're just doing a little interview.
There you go.
Come on, sweetheart.
That's good.
Okay, so what's your preferred water? Canal, reservoir, lake, river, etc. Where would you prefer to go and
Oh, my favourite's Canal for Xander. I've fished all the fen drains that John mentioned. He missed the middle level drain, which is probably my favourite drain.
And it leads down, 16
Old Berry Hill in Surrey. As I've just mentioned, Rutland Water, I've had Xander from there. So yeah, fished them all. End of the day, I love catching Xander from canals.
I like catching them from canals as well, and I think there's something nice about the fact that the canals are in the best condition they are now. Prey, predator, balance. And,
without doubt.
you know, when I was a kid fishing the canals, it was far harder than what it is now.
Oh, it's loads
so
more
there
fish.
is so many fish now, and so many big fish in the canals. You know, where we used to think of canals as small fish waters, that's not the case now. And you know, when I was a kid, if you was chucking a live bait out or a dead bait out or even a lure, you know, people would be laughing at you, thinking it's not going to happen. But now it's a very realistic possibility that's going to happen.
Talking about favourite waters, the other one's obviously the river I absolutely love is the Warwickshire Avon, and I've been very fortunate enough to catch some very nice Xander, and you know, absolutely brilliant. The whole area, right from Leamington all the way down to past Evesham, all the way down to the Severn, the whole place, just fantastic. And again, there's not many. Or for me, lately not been that many small fish, used to be, but now they're all a lot bigger, and it really is a great place to fish. Great little stretch of water. River Severn, again, on a different plane. It's on a completely different plane. The Severn and the Trent, I think, are going to be between them. Produce the Severn holds the current record. Between the Severn and Trent, they will break the record again this season, I'm certain. I'm quite sure of that.
I just want to pause the video here because there was a question I forgot to ask, which I think was quite important, and that was the characteristics of a Xander. I wanted to know if Xander stay in one area or patrol up and down a canal, and if they're a solitary fish or go round as a shoal. And John answered, when small to moderate size, they are a shoal or school fish known as schoolies. As they get bigger and members of the shoal get caught or electro-cooled, they become more solitary. Yes, Xander do move about, but I'm sure some stay put and become very territorial. And Mark added, big Xander live like pike as solitary fish and are in different spots to migrating schoolies until nesting time, March till July. And the photo you can see here is a Xander Abbey caught with when she was with Mark and John. A lovely photo. Very good. So what methods can you use to target Zander?
Well, obviously lure fishing is very, very popular now, but I've been refining deadbait fishing using chunks of fish rather than whole or say an half fish. So just using a wrist of fish, from the wrist of the tail, and putting a number 2 hook, a circle hook in, or something similar to that, and indeed fishing it under a waggler or a old-fashioned perch bobber. You can hit this straight away as soon as you get the run. As soon as that bob move and away it goes, you can hit it straight away, and you always hook the Zander in the scissors. So that's a good method. But live baits are still a great method as well, especially fishing distance. You're fishing into the mouth of a marina where you're allowed to fish, if you're allowed to fish it, should I say. And I'll pop up a live bait then with a couple of anything from number 12 to number 4 trebles. There's always a good possibility you're going to get pike in such a situation as well. Pop it up with a poly ball, so it's not in amongst the weed and the leaves and the flotsam and jetsam of autumn and winter, and that's a great way of fishing it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So Mark, what setup can you use for live bait, dead baits, like breaking strain of line, float size, weight, hook size?
Right, if I'm fishing on the river where some of them got a good flow on them, I'll always use, and on the drains, or even on the reservoirs as well, I'll use 11-foot cart rod type of rod, £3 test curve, £30 braid, and whether I'm using a single hook for a smaller bait or 2 trebles, if you know, not lost a fish, and if we get snagged up, I can always pull the rod straight, hook's bend straight, and then you can just attach a new trace and off you go. No tackle lost, no no hooks left in the environment, line or anything. So that is best. If I'm on the canal where it is a nice just an underarm flick to the far bank, I do still use my old 1980s rods with £10 Maxima line and still the old Mitchell reels.
Nice and traditional.
Oh, and it's just great. It's how I did it in the 70s and 80s. It's how I'm still doing it now. Still catching Zander on that now to this day. Yeah. So that's very good. Yeah, that's how I would.
It will do.
Just had another one about 17 ounces.
So, has the introduction of new techniques advanced catches, i.e. finesse style, or are they a clever ploy by manufacturers?
Clever ploy.
Clever ploy. Yeah, just look at me with my Canal Zander, still using 1970s and 80s gear. 70s and 80s line, although that's renewed once or twice a season. And you know, I don't need the latest fandangle list, that or the other.
No, you don't.
Not for Zander. I do appreciate fully for the cart boys. They do need to cast to the horizon, and if they can't cast, they need a bait boat to get out there. They've got a lot of bait to put out, so they'll need spods and spons and all the rest of it.
It is what it is.
And they need. They'll eject a bait, a cartwheel and all that sort of stuff, so you need the latest rigs for this, that and the other. A lot of respect for them, but for the average catching Zander, just grab your granddad's or dad's rod out the shed, grab the old reel, dust it all down, clean it off, put a float on, any float will do,
of course you will.
as long as you can get to fish about 7-8 foot deep. So you're just laying on the bottom by a length of the trace. Important, you must be using a wire trace in case a pike picks it up. And single hooks are fine, don't need trebles. And as I was saying about bait, as John was saying, fish chunks, half a fish, fish tails, an absolute brilliant bait for Canal as a dead bait. I've definitely had dead baits totally outfish live baits on any water or fish. If I put a live-o on, I end up catching perch mainly and the odd pike. Put the dead bait on, you're going to pick up the Zander every time.
Yeah, it's a good method. Dead bait's a good method.
So quickly touching on lure fishing, it's a little bit different to pike fishing, isn't it? A lot of the time you bounce it slowly across the bottom.
Yeah, They say going slowly. When we say you're going slow, you're still going too fast. You want to make it go even slower. The slower you can move your lure across the bottom, the little, what they call the Ned rig, the little Ned worm type thing with the hook out the top. Absolutely, that's what you want to be, moving slowly as it hits the silt on the bottom. Most canals are dirty, you can't see it, but it will send up a cloud, a little cloud of dirt as you're bouncing it across the bottom. That's what you want.
So it works with crayfish lures as well.
And they'll home in on that every time of the disturbance of the bottom. I think a lot of it's down to the sound, and they feed on small fish and bullheads and stuff like that. Zander do, especially it being proven in the North Oxford Canal. That is one of their favourite fish, and they hide on stones and rocks and the bricks that are underneath the bottom. And you'll see Zander with scars on their noses where they've scratched the noses, burying under the stones. And they'll you want your little lure to bounce across the bottom in between these stones, and the Zander there home in, bang, every time.
It's also when you're using a crayfish lure, I'll cast it out very often and just put a rod down for a second, wait a bit, just reel in. Sometimes the fish is on straight away.
Absolutely.
So what the Zander does, comes over and just watches, and he weighs up the situation, especially with the crayfish, because he knows it's in for a rough ride. So it's just weighing up the situation, and then it's that trigger. That's the most important thing, the crucial thing is the trigger, to get that aggressive response. Just G it up that little bit,
as any predator.
Bang, strike, and as soon as it irritates it enough, then you'll get that big violent strike. But if you see videos of Zander attacking crays, it's smash in straight away. They hesitate, that's when they get pinched all up. But if they go in there and they smash and get them claws forced down and give it a good shake, it's just like a dog with a rat really. It just busts everything up inside, and it's dead, and then it can smash it up at its leisure.
So would you favour that over little cranks? Because I know you've caught quite a few on little crankbaits, haven't you, John?
I've caught a lot on wobbart lures recently, which have been really, really superb. But what I like about those is that the way that they suspend in the water. They really do stick there and sink very, very slowly. And then if you want to crank them down, they'll go down. And then you can just hold it again neutral. And it's that pause that gets it. It's the trigger. That's the most important thing. That's what salmon anglers use. And it applies in all predatory fish, or even if it applies when you're catching softmouths, such as carp and rudd and bream and roach, anything really. They'll all fish are predatory to a certain degree, as I know, because I've done a lot of work with targeting softmouths. But it is that trigger, and crankbaits are good, and obviously the little wobbart lures, the crayfish lures that they've developed have been fantastic. They're developed in Poland, and then they are having some really good success as well. But the trigger, really, I'm going to swear, you've just got to piss that fish off.
I've spent, and still do, spent hours just watching water, pike in waters and in clear water, and you'll just watch them come up to a shoal of fish, or a shoal of fish comes past, and you'll just watch them and watch what they're doing, sort of hour after hour, and you can see their response, and you'll see there'll be just one fish that pees them off, and they'll just be straight in, bang, grab, gone. And that is
straight under then.
all I can say is just be observant. Watch what the predators are doing. Just watch what they're doing in
as
the
we're
water.
doing at the moment, watching this bung down here.
Keep saying I'm looking outside.
At the time,
we've got
the North Eye on it here.
We've got a perch rod out here.
We've got the North Eye looking over there.
It looked like there was a bit of movement on it. It might have been a perch in the area.
Then there'd have been 4 blokes standing up.
Okay, so how do you see the next few years playing out with the possible introduction of canal safe zones?
Are they as good as the word? That's the thing. Are they as good as the word? It's all right giving us these promises, but deeds not words. We want to see something positive. Obviously, we all know what the electronetting is all about. and we know it's an epic in futility, and we know it's not popular, and it's time it stops. But that's my opinion. That's just my humble opinion. The safe zones, well, yeah, that'd be good if they are going to implement these safe zones. But you know, I'll believe it when I see it. But I can't see really how rental can be taken off law-orientated or predator-orientated clubs. It's laws at the moment, isn't it? There's no one thing that's just complete predator fishing, but it's the law clubs that have managed to get a little bit of money together and rent the water. So I can't see how ethically the powers that be, so to speak, can electronet these waters and then still take the money for rental when they know full well that everybody wants to catch predators, including of course Zander.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it all comes down to ethics and scruples and honesty and integrity. So are we going to see that? Are we going to see that? I don't know, but you know, I'll tell you what, we're going to really tirelessly work for that, and definitely, and we put a lot of pressure on it. You know, we get criticised for that pressure, but you know something, if we sat back, we were all nice and soft about this, then you know they're going to walk all over you. It's as simple as that. We're saying no, we want Zander. You know, you look at the continent. Look at, you know, the rivers in Denmark, Sweden, whatever. I'm full of roach and bream, and you know, full of Zander as well. So you know, we know it's rubbish. And look at Claydon Middle Lake. At one stage, they're held then what they called the pike perch Zander record and the Wells catfish record at the same time. I've fished Claydon many times. There's still Zander in there, incidentally, and it's a little banana shaped, almost like a canal lake, very shallow. It must have 6 foot of silt in it and 2.5 foot of water kind of thing. So you look at cat there and it's just its tail comes on a big slap. But there's Zander in there, there's also pike in there, there's also perch in there. It's got populations of silverfish and carp, just like any commercial water, and that's all natural. So what does that tell you? You don't get electrofished. So what does that tell you? You know, natural balance every time. We know what's going on.
So Mark, pike still get a bad reputation. Zander has one even worse. How do we change the mindset of people who don't want Zander to be here?
Well, this is something we've definitely worked on and definitely winning the battle on. It's generally old-fashioned match anglers that seem to have this bad stigma still attached from the 1970s. Oh, Zander are bad, oh, they're the devil fish, etc. Which, you know, mature Zander aren't at all. They much prefer to have an easy meal with a dead fish.
Of course it does.
So the most difficult meal they have is a crayfish, and they do munch those. Current British record Zander, James Benfield, 21.6, caught on a pellet. On a pellet. There you go.
Feeding pellets,
there's a stretch of river I fish. They have matches every weekend. There are loads of pellets going, and I'm certain that the Zander go down there at night time and they mop up what pellets are left, because it's an easy meal. Now what's happened, I've studied this on this particular one stretch, say 8-10 years ago. I was there once a week, catching 6 or 7 Zander, £1 to £2 every time I went. Match results were pretty poor, and this was getting electrofished. Anyway, after it was sort of regarded as the Severn, Avon, Fen system, whatever, naturalised, whatever you want to take your meaning of that spheres, no longer any electrofishing in these sections. The match anglers accepted that, and they can be legally returned. Then the numbers of Zander declined dramatically, and this is proven. And there is if you look on the Canal Zander page, you'll see that I've posted a scientific paper on the proof on this, that Zander will the big Zander eat the small fish.
That's
Small
right.
Zander to protect and when they make the nests, they lay their eggs. You'll have the pair of Zander guard the nest. One of the few species of fish in the world that make a nest and guard it, because other Zander want to come around and munch up all the eggs, munch up all the fry to make their gene pool stronger.
That's right. The fact of the matter is, Xander have been in the canals a long time now, and your average Xander in the cut is still what,
£1 to £2. Well,
yeah.
so
If they'd have been left alone, that wouldn't have been the case. There
No.
still wouldn't have been this stigma
Well-
of small fish in the
this
canals. You
this same stretch of river. Last year, they were having £40-50 match winning. Some of the matches, if you didn't catch over £20, you weren't in the top 10.
Yeah. This is where Xander are natural.
But my Zander fishing has, changed massively. Fishing once a week still, 2 hours per time, same amount of time, same baits, same spots. I'm now only catching 7 or 8 Zander a season, but they're all over £7, £8. They're all big fish. Personally, I know what I'd rather have: a few big fish
Yeah,
per
definitely,
season.
every time.
So what's been happening in, let's say, April time? Zander have made the nests. They've laid up their 200,000 eggs per kilo of Zander or whatever, female Zander. And then just as while they're in the middle of guarding them all, the electric boats come over, electric fishing, removing all the big fish that are eating all the small eggs and the fry. So these little fry go and then eat that year class of roach fry.
Yeah. On a
And
frenzy.
so that's wiped out a year class of silverfish. It's gone.
right, that's
Can't
right.
get that back.
Who's
Gone.
that thanks to, Mark? Who's that thanks to? It's thanks
Well-
to the electronetting, isn't it? It's as simple as that,
well,
really.
yeah.
You know,
Well, they say
this is how much they know,
that,
and we don't
that
know
they're
nothing,
told
do we?
by
You know?
the people that run that hire the waters, that pay the rent for the waters, want that to happen. Now we know this is definitely certain on the Milton Keynes area. We know this is certain on the Luton area. They have requested that, and that fair dues. But we know there's a Staffordshire area where we spoke to the chairman of the club, and it was done without them knowing.
Yeah,
And they didn't want it
actually
to be done.
requested it
Yeah,
not
yeah.
to happen.
And also let's say there was a section, the Lure Anglers Club, or was it Tussie's Lure section at Coventry,
Yeah,
and they'd
Tussie's.
organised an international lure match
That's right.
to catch Xander
And they
the
went
day before.
they went electro-netted
MEM
it.
Limited went through not told to do it,
And what's the excuse that
and
they
wiped
use?
out all the
They go-
Xander
they go
the
along
day
the Ashby
before an
'cause it's-
international lure match where
Yeah.
they wanted to catch
They
Xander.
go up the Ashby because it's treble SI, right? And they seem to think that electronetting the Xander out of there is going to keep all the orchids or wherever it is precious, and water voles and all that kind of crap. They don't look at the otters. They're up there. By the way, the otters are in the Ashby now, so and the only thing you can do with an otter is look at it. So are these problems going to be addressed? No. So so they've got a nice little scapegoat there.
But
got treble SI status in the Ashby Canal, so they're going to go and do that every year because it's natural England and all this kind of stuff. But then at the end of the day, they came down there, and because they'd been paid for so many hours, they got a few hours to kill, literally, and then they decided to go along the Coventry Canal, didn't they? What was it, 12 months last April or something?
It
like
was
that?
day
believe,
before an
yeah.
international lure match, wiped all the
Yeah.
fish out.
Yeah.
So they wondered why
pretty
me
cool.
and John, and we've had even people that have run the Tussie's Lure Club and whatever, have a few words with us saying what you're saying this to about them for, and we were saying, well, look, they're saying one thing, but we've got proof they've done another. That's what we're saying about, and they're taking your livelihood.
We've got statements from the Canal and River Trust saying that, statement. I've got one on photograph of it. Anybody can see it any time and tell you, They even tell you how many Xander they took out from there. Not many, apparently. That makes it right, though, does it? Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, but we seem to have, we've got to move forward. We seem to have moved forward. There was a meeting put on by Eric Edwards in Warwick at Hatton. All the right people that needed to be there, apart from me and John, but that's been addressed. And
You and I know we'll never get the invite.
we'll never get the
Never
invite for that. Anyway, all the right people in the right room at the right time, and from that has become the Zander Safe Zone proposition from the Canal and River Trust. As John said, so far so good.
Yeah.
We're happy with that, and
Let's see what
fair play to them. We've now I've read all the papers and I've read absolutely everything in depth from everybody who was there, from Natural England, Environment Agency, Canal and River Trust, the Lure Anglers Club, from Neville Fickling's talk from the Zander Anglers perspective, Dr. Phil Smith's from his research. Read everything all the way through, absolutely in depth, and very happy with the outcome. Looking very positive, and it is, you know, looks like what they've said, what they've proposed is anywhere in the catchment area of the Warwickshire Avon. So if any fish escape over an overflow or get into another water, they can only get back in River Avon where they're already naturalised, or the Severn. So anywhere in the catchment area of the Warwickshire Avon, it is, they're not going to electrofish. They're not going to electrofish, and it is the Lure Anglers Club and Tussie's Lure Division that have got pretty much all of that water anyway.
Yeah.
And we've managed to get word that they will not electrofish, and although it's still illegal to turn a Zander by law into a canal, that as long as that fact is not flaunted, that is, we've had it from the Environment Agency and from some other people. It's all written down in these papers that we can just carry on forward as we have been doing for years, doing just that. You know, let's just watch this space for another 5 years and see if they keep to their word. They said they want to get some research on this, find sort of research student that can monitor all of this, study it, and then they can branch that out to other canal areas in the country which have got Zander, which would be absolutely fantastic. Which would be the first part of the job that we've been working on for many years. We've actually got there.
Yeah,
and
step forward.
We're
Definitely.
pretty chuffed. It has been noted on the Great Britain non-native site, Secretariat site. There's the Great Britain non-native species Secretariat site, that Zander have been dropped down from non-native invasive to just non-native, and they've also been changed, their category has been changed from non-sporting fish to sporting fish. I've tried to get this confirmed from Neville Fickling and from a couple of other.
They're all sporting, aren't they?
All
I mean,
people,
I even think that's a sporting.
and nobody can not confirm the fact that this has been noted on their website. So yet again, that is an absolute massive step forward for our Canal Zander.
Yeah, it is.
Which is great.
Right, very good. So, a question from John Merritt, especially for you, John. Hunting with a gun or fishing?
Easy, neither. Hunting with a dog. My dog catching a rabbit, obviously, because I've got to keep it within the law. Every single time. That's the biggest pleasure in field sports I get, and that's using running dogs. My first passion, and always will be, always will be. Then it's catching a Zander. And then it might be shooting a roebuck or a red or a fallow, well, I don't know. Or just going ferreting, I don't know, you know, but whatever. I just love the hunting game, and you know, that's it. We hunt, we shoot, we fish. Countrymen.
So that brings us to the end of the questions. Is there anything else you two want to? So I know, John, you do a guiding service and that.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a quick?
Yeah, well,
say about...
as I say, if you go onto the page on Facebook, you'll find my guiding page there, and also on Red Hunter's Angle. So it's specimen perch and Zander guiding the Red Hunter's Angle, and you'll also see lots of things on Instagram as the Red Hunter, and of course on Canal Zander, which is the biggest Zander group in the world now, which is good. Very,
over
very good.
1,400 members.
Yeah, over
Yeah,
1,400
now, haven't we?
members. And
Yeah,
we're turning them away because nobody answers the bloody
They
questions.
don't answer. You
Don't
must
answer the
answer the questions. Are you Xander friendly?
So,
First one.
I'm turning away more
Yes,
than you
and
are.
they don't
I am.
even put the word
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You know.
Dead
Anyway,
easy.
but yeah, from my point of view, over the years I've guided many people to their first ever Zander. I've had a guy from Sheffield, Leeds. I've had them from all over. I've actually guided just recently retired from the Great Britain lure team who's fished the European and World Championships many times. I've guided him to his first Zander, and he's actually now manager of the South African international team. I've guided many people and wish to do that probably a bit more full time in the future from now on.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Things are moving.
me and John
things are moving
have
quickly.
chatted, and we can get people onto their first Zander, guide them well,
Definitely.
and get them sort
Definitely.
of, very interested in the species. So that
Yeah.
future wise, that's for me is to
Yeah.
definitely pursue and
Yeah.
increase that ride up
Yeah,
to hopefully
definitely.
get that full time. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
And you've been working on the book, haven't you, John?
Yeah. The book's going well. So obviously, this is my 5th book, but it's the first angling book. But I've written lots of angling articles anyway, including the odd one for Angling Times and Anglers Mail, but mainly for Countryman's Weekly and Angling Times. Shooting Times, and other field sports magazines around the world. So we're bringing a good hunting flavour to this Zander book. So it's going to be the next best possible thing to actually be in there and catching a Zander yourself. All the characters that are there, and it's going to be good. And I'm biased, but it's going to be good.
And finally, once again, I want to say a massive thank you to you two and your group and the members, because without that, I wouldn't have caught a Zander,
Pleasure.
and then Abby wouldn't have experienced it either. And so, yeah,
Pleasure.
thanks a lot, guys.
No problem.
no
Absolute
worries.
pleasure.
Pleasure.
Okay, come here.
Hello, Abby.
All right, thanks, guys.